Welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. We would really appreciate if you could give us a 5-star rating and leave a glowing review in the app where you are listening to this podcast. If you are listening to this podcast on YouTube, please support it with your like and subscription. Thank you. My name is Artem, and here is the news. For 156 days, Ukraine stands strong against the forces of the Russian invasion. From 40 to 53 Ukrainian prisoners of war were killed and over 100 wounded in a false flag operation organized by Russia, reports Ukrainska Pravda. On Friday morning, the Russian media reported on the shelling of the colony in Olenivka, Donetsk region, where Ukrainian prisoners were kept, including those who were at the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. They claimed that Ukrainian forces shelled their brothers in arms. The General Staff of Ukraine denied the accusations and said that with this shelling the Russians tried to hide the torture and killing of prisoners who are under the protection of the Geneva Convention. Ukrainian intelligence believes that the killing of Ukrainian prisoners was organized by the Wagner mercenaries on the personal instruction of Kremlin's pawn, Yevgeny Prigozhin. According to the intelligence, it was done without prior coordination with the leadership of the Russian Ministry of Defense. It is also pointed out that in this event no Russian personnel was killed or wounded, which supports the claim that it was done by Russia itself. The Security Service of Ukraine intercepted telephone conversations in which the Russian military confirms that Russian troops are responsible for the explosion in the occupied Olenivka colony. The General Staff of Ukraine, the Security Service, the main intelligence agency, and the Verkhovna Rada Commissioner for Human Rights released a joint statement. In this statement, they demand from the UN and the International Committee of the Red Cross to immediately respond to the terrorist attack committed in Olenivka, as well as to inspect the detention facility in which captured Ukrainians were held, reports Interfax Ukraine. According to the US Institute for the Study of War, the available visual evidence appears to support the Ukrainian claim more than the Russian. At the same time, the institute points out that it cannot independently assess the nature of the attack or the party responsible for it at this time, reports Ukrainska Pravda. This cruel and inhumane act shocked the entire Ukrainian society. The President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, said that killing in Olenivka was a deliberate Russian crime, a deliberate mass murder of Ukrainian prisoners of war. He reminded that when the defenders of Azovstal left the plant, the UN and the International Committee of the Red Cross acted as guarantors of their lives and health. The President stressed that now the guarantors must react. They must protect the lives of hundreds of Ukrainian prisoners of war. He added that there should be a clear legal recognition of Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism, namely by the United States. Yesterday, Volodymyr Zelensky visited Odessa region. In his evening video address, the president stressed the importance of the future resumption of grain export from Ukraine. According to him, it is not only important from the point of view of the economic strength of Ukraine, which is needed to withstand this war. It's important for the world to withstand the pressure of the food crisis brought upon by Russia. Zelensky added that he does not want to make any forecasts now on how the agreements on grain export will be implemented. The UN, Turkey, and other international partners are responsible for the security side of this process, stressed the president. Earlier during the visit itself, Zelensky said that Ukraine is ready to export its grain and is waiting for signals from its partners about the start of transportation, reports Ukrinform. US State Secretary Antony Blinken and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov held the first telephone conversation since the start of Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine, reports European Pravda. Blinken told reporters that he tried to convince Lavrov to release two US citizens illegally detained in Russia, Paul Whelan and basketball player Brittney Griner. He also called on Lavrov on behalf of many countries of the world to fulfill what Russia agreed to in Istanbul and enable the export of grain from Ukrainian ports through the Black Sea. Blinken warned Russia about the consequences if the Kremlin continues to implement its plan to annex new territories of Ukraine. After this phone call, Blinken talked with Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba. According to Kuleba, sides agreed to further strengthen Ukraine militarily and economically and focus on the next practical steps that will allow Ukraine to force the Russian invasion to fail. The General Staff of Ukraine informs that the combat, numerical composition and nature of actions of the enemy remain without significant changes, reports Ukrainska Pravda. The invaders continue to carry out air and missile strikes on military and civilian objects on the territory of Ukraine. In the Slovensk area, the Russian forces conducted assaults in the districts of Brazhivka and Dmitrivka but had no success. In the area of Bakhmut, the enemy carried out assaults in the direction of Pisky and Andriivka without success. Fighting continues near Krasnogorivka. The Russian troops led assault operations in the Mariinka area, were unsuccessful and withdrew. Fighting continues near Pavlivka. According to the survey conducted by the Kyiv International Institute of Sociology, 81% of Ukrainians support the idea of joining the EU, reports Espresso. At the same time, 71% would vote in favor at the referendum on joining NATO. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine. Thank you.